Hey guys, Metal Matt here to jump on the relevancy bandwagon because I saw this interesting feud, some people are calling it. Um, I'm in Mexico, the electrics are a bit weird, yeah. But this, some people are calling it a feud, some people are just, it's a opinion, freedom of speech and all that. I'm talking, of course, about Justin Hawkins of The Darkness and YUNGBLUD. People have probably noticed already there seems to have been, you know, a bit of a dislike to YUNGBLUD, maybe in a few videos Justin has done. Obviously, his Rides Again podcast thing is very popular. And before I start, nothing I say is necessarily factually accurate, and I'm not going to be. I'm going to quote sort of vaguely from memory because I've followed this a little bit. I've watched a few videos, and I'm just going to say what I kind of remember. But I recommend you going and watching the videos yourself to see both sides of the argument, if you want to call it an argument. Yeah, I just thought it was quite an interesting one because basically it started something like this. I think Justin has kind of spoken out about YUNGBLUD not being necessarily the authentic rock star kind of guy that he's maybe trying to be, and I think he's kind of said he's almost jumping on the whole Aussie thing to get popularity and things like that, and kind of using that Aussie connection to get him somewhere. And Justin kind of references let me think. He references that he did some Disney stuff, and he's a theatre kid, YUNGBLUD, and he's not exactly necessarily a man of the people. He is trained. He's a theatre kid, and that's kind of Justin's argument from what I gather, that he's not kind of authentic. And he was talking about a performance he did with Aerosmith recently, which I think was at the MTV Awards. I may be wrong. But some award thing. It was like a celebration of Aussie. Anyway, just quick, I'm Metal Matt. I just thought I'd put my 2 cents worth in today on this subject because I thought, well, it's interesting. I just thought we'll see what people think, because it is kind of, I can see both sides of it, which is where I'm kind of, I don't know fully what I think about it, but instinctively YUNGBLUD was never for me, because I kind of agree with Justin. He's kind of playing the whole rock star thing, but then you go and listen to the music, and I wouldn't say it's particularly that kind of heavy or anything different or unique enough. And I've heard Justin say something along the lines of he hasn't had his hit song yet, but he's kind of made changes. His hit, I guess, that has worked, which, cynics may say, well, it's not his song, blah, blah, blah. But it was a nice tribute to Ozzy. You can't deny that was a great performance at Ozzy's final show. Since that and the Aerosmith performance, obviously they were singing together, this tribute to Ozzy, this award thing with Aerosmith, and they were kind of competing with each other almost, is what it looked like to me. It did seem corny. The first thing I thought was it was quite a corny performance. I know a lot of people may disagree and not want to, think like that, but I guess, I don't know, it's just a bit cheesy. And in the words of Justin on his latest video, he was saying that, let me just think about this right a minute. He was saying something about auto-tune, live auto-tune or something, messed around with the voices and things, which I don't know if it's true or not, but he seemed to think that was the case. And he said it's not very kind of authentic, and it's not kind of standing up for true rock. If you're going to do this kind of corny pop, award thing, then, and you're going to represent rock or metal or whatever, his argument was they should have some real rockers out there, kind of thing, which I guess Aerosmith are, and I don't think he has any problems with Aerosmith, but he doesn't like the new single YUNGBLUD has dropped with Aerosmith by the seams of it, and also he doesn't, he kind of thinks it's all a publicity thing. And I mean, me watching it, I thought, watching them together, kind of, it was like they were fighting to get their voices heard, Steven Tyler and YUNGBLUD, at the Aussie thing. That's kind of how it looked to me. You got to go off instinctively. It did seem corny and stuff. But then I've also seen the side of it where YUNGBLUD's recently talking on Jack Osborne's podcast, where he's saying kind of indirectly, I'd say, aimed at Justin Hawkins, I'm guessing, but I don't know. Could be anyone he's talking about. Yeah, he says YUNGBLUD says, you know, he pretty much says it's water off a duck's back. He don't care about criticism, but he especially thinks no big rock stars, proper rock stars, would critique and run down, I guess, a younger artist. He said James Hetfield wouldn't do that because he's, you know, sure in himself. He doesn't need to do that, and Ozzy would have never done that, was his kind of argument. And I think Justin kind of come back on that on a recent thing where he actually watches that video, which is quite funny to watch, because it's like, oh, I saw both videos and then I saw Justin had reacted, and I thought, oh, this is getting pretty juicy stuff now. You know, it's all kind of very entertainment based, but then at the same time, lives are affected and there's a lot of emotion going on. I think, obviously, with Ozzy's passing, you know, and from what Jack Osbourne was saying, you know, YUNGBLUD was a big part of everything, more than anyone can ever really know and more than they've talked about. So he particularly didn't like that take on YUNGBLUD, that he's just trying to further his career with Ozzy by using the Ozzy connection, which I guess, you know, if Jack's saying that, you know, then that is the case. And I mean, YUNGBLUD does seem genuine about his love for Ozzy and things. I can see how it could be seen also, you know, as a bit of a publicity stunt or a clever way of kind of getting yourself out there, you know, connecting yourself to a big artist like that, and then following with Steven Tyler, you know. But I also get what YUNGBLUD's saying about, you know, the big rock stars may not critique as much as ones, you know, of, I guess, the Darkness's status, which is, they're big, I guess, but they're not huge. They're not taken as seriously as some bands. So yeah, I can see how, you know, at the same time, having a channel where you critique things and stuff is another way to make money as an artist and kind of keep relevant and things like that. You know, I do it myself, you know, I make music, Metal Matt, I'll do my own plug, Changes in You, featuring Dom Jolly in the music video, check it out, The King of Hearts, that's another good song, so enjoy those, they're all out there. You know, we all do it, we all do these videos to plug our own stuff as well, and kind of, you know, as YUNGBLUD said, you're inserting yourself into the situation, which Justin kind of didn't seem to like that side of things. He said, you know, and he also said there was bitterness and jealousy, but he didn't mention who he was talking about, you know, but Justin kind of assumed, and I think most of us assumed it was about him and his comments, but he said, you know, it's freedom of speech, it's kind of, you know, it's rock and roll to be free, and like Ozzy, where you can say what you want, and, you know, he said that's kind of what rock and roll or metal, whatever genre, you know, this whole category is all about, really. So, you know, it's an interesting one, and it's hard to really know who's right and who's wrong. I looked through the comments on Justin's videos about YUNGBLUD, and a lot of people agree with him. Some people say he's just sounding bitter and old and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure, from what I can see, I'm sure there probably is some jealousy, maybe that they weren't invited to the Ozzy back to the beginning, and also, you know, maybe they weren't given the same opportunities YUNGBLUD was given, who's just kind of stepped on the scene from nowhere, you know. But I guess that is the luck of life, and you know, people either kind of give you these opportunities or they don't, and sometimes you got to just make your way by yourself, and maybe YUNGBLUD's had a little bit more help than others, I don't know. But I assume if he's got connections in the theatre world and Disney or whatever else he did, you know, it's not that hard to get famous. I think Billie Eilish, you know, is another idea of a possible industry plan. They seem very genuine at the beginning, but they were always thanking Apple, and her mother, I think, is connected to a lot of music industry stuff. So there are people who get a kind of step up the ladder, and it's not so hard to get them seen and known. I mean, one thing I know as a musician myself, you know, you can do music, loads of people make music and great music, but not everyone's going to get that lucky opportunity to get the next step up. And, you know, whether people are selling their souls or whatever, who knows what it takes to get up that ladder. But all I'd say is this, you know, not all these people are necessarily as extremely talented as people would like them to be, you know. If you think about it, it's quite easy to like an artist when they're slapped over every magazine and every video that you see popping up on the algorithm. It's favorable to certain people. You will get to like them eventually, or know them at least. I mean, I hear a lot of Taylor Swift, got no interest in that, but I know a lot of people do. But you hear that sort of music a lot, and you know, it does nothing for me, but other people love it, and it's all about how these people are presented. But she might be a bad example because I think she writes her own stuff and that, but there's other people who probably less, you know, more of an industry plant, a product, you know. And I think the best way to know if someone's a product is if they start selling products like perfume ranges and stuff like that, which most of them do, who are in that kind of status. So yeah, I don't know, I wanted to see what you guys think. Leave your comment, whose kind of side you're on, or if you're neutral or whatever. I just thought it was quite an interesting, juicy debate. I was like, my wife was wanting to watch a movie tonight, and I was like, wait, I gotta watch this. I gotta see Justin's reaction to that podcast with Jack Osborne, and it must be, in a way, quite like, wow, it actually infused a reaction. I don't know if infused is the right word, but you know, it caused a reaction from the Osbournes themselves, just a video. But I think Justin's kind of take is, you know, you should be able to say what you want to say, and yeah, I agree with that. If that's his opinion, it shouldn't be, you know, labelled as whatever. But then if people want to label it as bitter or whatever, that's also their prerogative. So it's a weird one. Opinions are like, I don't know, what's that saying? Some of you might know it. Opinions are like something, but I don't want to get this video less views. I don't know what you can say. But yeah, you know, so it's funny, is anyone right? I mean, you can only assume, you know, Youngblood assumes Justin's maybe a jaded rock star. Jaded. And, you know, that's his take, I guess, from what I can gather. And Justin's kind of saying, well, I'm just speaking my truth. And I guess no one really knows how much thought has went into things before you say it sometimes. Sometimes you can go off just gut reaction and instinctiveness. I mean, I'd never listen to Youngblood, but then I'd never really go out my way to listen to The Darkness. But I'd probably swing towards The Darkness more so. But it depends what Youngblood's got up his sleeve. I mean, it seems like he wants to not just be known by the kind of emo-ish alternative crowd of whatever year he kind of started getting famous, you know, as he was saying, like Little Peep and all that lot, which I don't know nothing about, but that kind of era, you know, MGK, I guess, all that kind of time he was coming up. And, you know, he wants to be known more as a rock metal guy. I guess he wants to be up there taken seriously, but I guess maybe the music should be more in that direction. And I can understand why people don't really want someone like that representing a genre. It's kind of a jumping on a genre to get relevancy in a way. You know, if you're more of a emo-ish whatever, I don't know what genre it is, but it doesn't seem like proper metal or rock really. It's, you know, but then it is his thing, it's whatever he's doing, you know. And the name Youngblood don't really help. It sounds like a rapper, but you know, to be fair though, he's doing well, so you know, he's mastered it, he's doing good. But I think since all the Aussie stuff, he's certainly had more relevancy. I've heard about him for years, but not in a big way. But I think everything's really grown after that, which I guess, you know, is another reason why people may dispute his, you know, his kind of visions of why he's doing it, or his, I can't think of the word, but you know, his, the reason he's doing what he's doing, you know. But he says it's all for Aussie, it's all for Aussie, and you know, he's happy to kind of mimic him and wear his cross and everything that Aussie gave him. And you know, you can only really go by, you know, Aussie liked him, whatever, you know. Jack and the family obviously like him, and it sounds like he was a bigger part of their lives than people realize. He didn't just appear, I think, is the main thing, even though it feels like he just appeared and like, hey, I love Ozzy Osbourne, I'm the new Ozzy Osbourne. I think a lot of people are like, what? It's a bit strange because, you know, there's only one Ozzy Osbourne, and you know, I don't think he's in the same league or category or anything, but he's in his own category and he's doing his thing. And yeah, I mean, I kind of agree that the big rock stars don't always have so much to say, unless they're Gene Simmons or someone like that. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of people, James Hetfield and stuff, like he says, who wouldn't go out their way to slag anyone off, whereas these kind of midway successful artists, if that's, you know, probably won't like being called that, but you know, that's how I look at the Darkness, you know, because they're of a different time as well. It's hard for a band these days to be taken seriously as a proper heavy metal rock artist, you know. But yeah, it is an interesting dispute, and I urge, if you want to say urge, I don't really care, but you know, people to watch the two discussions. Jack Osbourne's podcast recently with YUNGBLUD talking about that, and also Justin's response on his YouTube channel. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It's lots of I don't know, it's just, I thought I'd do a video because it's quite hard to really pinpoint who's right, because I mean, when I listen to YUNGBLUD speak, he's quite likable. Justin seems to have gripes about him saying mental all the time. Oh, that's effing mental and all that, which I kind of get. It's a bit goofy and stuff, but then I've seen him talking to Steve-O and talking with Jack and that, and you know, he seems a right guy. He seems a nice enough guy. You know, he does seem okay as a person, you know, and pretty genuine when he's speaking. But yeah, I can see how some of the stuff he's done may have been seen as a bit contrived or whatever, and kind of you know, using Ozzy's status. But you know, he says it was all from the heart, it's all for Ozzy, and yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know, because I can kind of see where Justin's coming from as well, with the fact that it is strange. He's kind of popped up and he's representing like rock, and he is a bit over the top and stripping off all the time. I don't know, it is a bit corny. It does reek cheesiness and corniness to me as well, but I am a cynic. I am quite cynical myself, you know, and I'm sure I can be corny as well. So you know, it is what it is. But instinctively I was on Justin's side first off, and in agreement really, especially when I saw the videos, the sort of Disney-ish type stuff and theatre school type performances and stuff. I can see where he's coming from, and that it's not necessarily a genuine thing. Maybe YUNGBLUD's found his thing. He seems a smart business guy. He's doing this Blood Fest, I think he calls it, his own festival, and I heard him talking about that, and his head's really screwed on with that stuff. He seems quite smart in the business, which is rare for music people. And yeah, I'd say anyone who's smart in the business, you know, probably have a lot of things worked out in ways that may be bigger than what first appears, and what seems organic may not always be organic. But at the same time, from what he's saying, he seems genuine, and it's hard to pinpoint, you know. Everyone's trying to make their way, everyone's trying to pave their way, you know, and the Darkness had to do it at quite a weird time, I guess. I don't know when they come about, but I'm guessing like 90s, 2000, I don't know. Not the peak of heavy metal or rock, you know, glam, whatever it is. But they did well for themselves. 1 or 2 hits, I think. Don't know if YUNGBLUD's really had a hit yet. Like I say, a lot of it, to me, reflects typical emo-y type of stuff that I heard as a teenager growing up and never listened to, because I was stuck in Judas Priest and stuff like that, and Alice Cooper. But it seems like he likes some old school stuff as well. So he's got good taste. He's got the potential to maybe do something great, but I'm not sure he's done it yet. I kind of am in agreement with Justin on that. But, you know, that's the motivation for him. Not that he needs it, but, you know, for anyone who is cynical like me, you know, prove me wrong, you know, do some proper rock and heavy metal, or if you're doing well with what you're doing, which he seems to be, then maybe that's working. But you know, for me, a metal fan, a rock fan, I would like to see, if you're gonna kind of almost step in Ozzy's shoes or whatever and carry the flag, fly the flag, maybe I don't know, maybe it needs something else. It needs something a bit more classic old school vibe, but then maybe that's outdated, maybe that's old. And yeah, you know, as you can see, I'm not very set on anything, but I'm quite open to this debate and discussion. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, let me know in the comments if you've got any strong opinions or anything. But yeah, I can kind of see how, you know, they're both in a way, in the words of YUNGBLUD, you know, he said he's actually inserting himself in this situation by talking about it, even though he's saying YUNGBLUD is, you know, That was what Youngblood was saying. Justin, or whoever he was talking about, is kind of inserting himself in the conversation, which is what he was accusing Youngblood of doing. So in a way, maybe they're both doing it a bit, or maybe they're not, you know. But it is a hard one, and yeah, it's hard not to look a bit jaded and kind of jealous, I guess, when you do slag off artists. So yeah, maybe it's best not to. But at the same time, freedom of speech, you know, I'm all for freedom of speech, you know, especially these days when the world has went crazy, you know, and all the stuff they're trying to bring in now. Madness. We need to have our voices, keep our voices, speak up, keep our freedoms. So yeah, I think I'm on Justin on, you know, he can share his opinion, and why not? It's freedom of speech. But you know, who's right? I don't really know. I haven't decided, but it's a worthy debate of checking out. And while you're checking out that, check out my songs, Changes in You. I'm going to insert myself into this conversation. Changes in You, great rock song, trust me, you'll like it. The King of Hearts, if you like high notes, you know, all that kind of stuff. All that, you know. There's a lot of that. It's very old school rock ballad, King of Hearts, the King of Hearts. And even Mantis of Venom, the black metal band, he did a little introduction on that one. I've had a song called Mexico as well, which is more of a pop rock thing, not very metal, so you know, what can I say? But yeah, it's a good track, fun track. John Foster of Bronxy Beat, who had a hit in the 80s, hit that perfect beat. He did some backing vocals on that one. I got some black metal as well, Extinction, and lots more stuff. So yeah, Changes in You, King of Hearts, they're probably the best, and check out some others too if you want. It's available on all the platforms. But yeah, anyway, what else can I say apart from we love Aussie, and you know, us metal fans are always opinionated, and it does get us into trouble. You know, I've had trouble with my opinions when I speak out about the bands I like and different things, but where I see injustice, I feel it's important to speak out sometimes, and you know, put your words in, because this you know, you don't have to just be submissively faithful fans to things when you see some injustices, and just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you hate anyone as well. That's something we got to learn, especially with recent events. People are allowed opinions without having hate and violence or anything like that. You know, we should all be able to have an opinion and share our thoughts and feelings like I'm doing right now, without any craziness. You know, so there you go. Thanks for listening. Metal Matt, over and out. I'm in Mexico, and it's very hot. So yeah, I'm gonna go and stick the aircon on now. Right, see you later, guys. Cheers. Subscribe, don't forget. Hit those notifications on. Check out the songs.